pleasant good evening. You are listening to the program The Voice of Pilgrim, emanating from Pilgrim Baptist Temple, St. James Road, where our senior pastor is Reverend Dr. Leroy Nathaniel Major. We are known as the Church with the Open Doors, hence our hearts are also open to you. For more information on this radio broadcast, you may contact our church at 393-3644. Sponsors for this broadcast are Jonah Telecom Bahamas Limited at 376-8999, Easy Trucking at 357-4394, The Craft Shack at 829-7412, ATC Financial Advisors and Consultants at 376-0411, and also the fine members of the Pilgrim Baptist Temple.
Good evening, and welcome to the Voice of Pilgrim. I'm your host, Minister Cameron Curtis. Tonight, our topic is Surviving COVID-19, Part 2. And our scripture text is Jeremiah 30:17, which reads, "But I will restore to you health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord." On 2 weeks ago, we had in studio Mr. Henry Dean, who came and talked about his experience of surviving from COVID-19. On tonight, we have in studio Miss Britney Brown, a member of our church, who will give her experience from recovering from COVID-19. Miss Brown, it's good to have you this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we start?
Okay, well, I'm 28. I will be 29 in September.
Okay.
I work in the accounting field.
Okay.
I'm a consultant.
Well, again, thank you for being on our show tonight, and let's get started. Well, we know that you recently you contracted the coronavirus, the COVID-19, and we thank God that you recovered from it. Can you tell us a little bit of your experience?
Okay, well, I caught the virus last year, November, and it wasn't a bad experience. It wasn't what I expected. The media, from what I've seen and what people have said, I thought it was going to be worse, but the only symptoms I had, it was like flu-like symptoms.
Okay.
I had one bad night, but that was before I went to the doctor to find out that I had COVID-19. But my overall experience, I wouldn't say it was bad per se, but I just wouldn't want to catch it again because I really don't like being sick, whether it's the flu, the cold, a headache. I just don't like being under the weather. So I'm glad I recovered.
Yeah, we thank God you did too. You just said that you had a bad experience that caused you, that before you found out that you had COVID. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience that caused you to go to the doctor to get found out that you had it?
Yeah, so before I went to the doctor, I think it was like 2 or 3 days before, my first symptom would have been my throat. It was getting sore. And I thought I was just coming down with the flu or the cold. So I didn't pay it any mind. I just took some Buckley's and that was that. The next morning, I was feeling a little bit worse and I really didn't feel like I could have gotten through the day. So I called into work and I thought I could have recovered in time to work the next day, but I still didn't feel well. So my manager, when I told my manager, she told me to go to the doctor. So that night, my symptoms just got worse, where I couldn't smell, I couldn't taste.
Mm.
and my body just completely was in pain. I couldn't sleep at all. I was tossing and turning the whole night. I wasn't able to go to sleep until about like 3 a.m. So the next morning, my mom, she took me to the clinic, and I told the doctor my symptoms, and because I told him I couldn't taste and I couldn't smell, he said that was the red flag.
Wow.
And that was the common
Mhm.
symptom in all the COVID cases, so he sent me to take a test. And the next day, I got the call that I was positive.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, I was scared because of what I was seeing on the internet.
Yes.
So
TV,
I was like, I hope I don't die. But sitting here looking back, I just was sick,
Mhm.
you know.
Okay.
But I thank God that I did get through it because a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the breathing problems like everybody said, but it wasn't severe.
Okay. Do you know how or where you contracted it from?
I feel like I do know.
Okay.
It was during the time when I caught the virus, it was during the time I was studying for an exam. So I was back and forth getting coffee.
Yeah. So, okay.
I rather not say from where.
Okay, that's okay.
But I assume that is where I picked it up from because I wasn't going anywhere. I was home from work because we're working from home, and everything else was locked down. So I was either home or going to get coffee. So the other option is someone from my household could have given it to me. So, but none of them were sick, so
Okay.
it had to been from that place.
Okay. So let's go back to that day when you got the result. First of all, how long it took before you got your result back?
I got the results. I think a day or two later.
Okay.
Yeah, because no, I got it a day later because I went to the doctor. Let's say I went to the doctor on a Wednesday. I logged on to my laptop to be to work that day, and the next day I got my results, and then I put in my my sick leave. So it was like a day.
Okay, all right then. So after you got your confirmed that you have COVID, what was your next process? Did you go in isolation, or how did that work?
Yeah, when I got my results, I wouldn't say I immediately went into isolation. I was already in isolation per se because I have my own room, and just for the possibility that I had it before, I tried not to go around my family.
Okay.
So, but after I got the positive results, that's when I stopped going like into areas where my family members were, and my mom, she basically, and my sister, they basically took care of me. They would bring me food whenever it was ready. And my mom, she went out and she bought more disinfectant, and she gave me one, so when I would go to the bathroom, I could disinfect it when I finished. And that's how we went on for the next 14 days.
So your family really was your backbone through this all?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Because, you know, sometimes we get we go to sickness, they'll paint the picture like no one can come see you or they can or stuff like that, but they really took care of you and helped you through this process.
Yeah.
So.
And I do agree, they make it seem as if it's so easy to get it, like it's so contagious, but from my experience, my family members, they didn't catch it. And the only thing I could say is that probably because of the way our house is set up, like there's a lot of windows, so the there was a lady who was assigned to me from the Ministry of Health. She basically explained to me that I shouldn't go into enclosed areas with my family. If I be around my family, I would have to actually be in a open space where there's a lot of ventilation. So that probably might have been the reason why they didn't catch it. And then another reason is we just sanitize everything.
Okay.
And I had to wear my mask at all times.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So many persons are saying that this mask thing don't make no sense. To you, it really does.
Well, when I think about it, I feel like, well, okay, how people are wearing the mask, I don't think it makes sense. Because if you go out into public, you see the mask, like, they don't cover their nose.
Okay, yes.
So if you're wearing it like that, it really doesn't make sense. But another thing is, you wearing your mask, it doesn't protect you per se, it protects others from you. That's how it was explained. So I really can't like knock it, because it probably helped with my family not catching it. So I really don't have enough data to say it doesn't make sense.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. Having recovered fully from the COVID-19, do you do anything differently?
Well, I did for like a month or two, but then I stopped because I got more relaxed. When I would like go out and get anything, I would sanitize like when I would go get coffee, I would sanitize the cup itself.
Okay.
And I would, before drinking off of it, I would try to wipe around like the cup itself.
Okay.
And I increased the amount of times I sanitize my hands. Like sometimes I would find myself forgetting to sanitize my hand, like after I say touch money, and I realize, okay, I touch like my door handle or something like that. So I try to be more aware of that now. But trying to protect yourself against a virus is very hard, because you really can't see it and you don't know what is infected. So the best bet, I think, is to try to build your immune system.
Yes. Take your vitamins and everything.
Yeah, I've recently started taking black seed oil.
Okay.
Yeah. So I try to take my vitamins, and I've started working out again. So I try to stay healthy.
Well, to be honest with you, that's something that many of us humans, we really don't take vitamins, because I'm one of them. I really am. I don't take vitamins at all, because in my head I feel it gets me more tired and stuff like that, so I don't take it. But after since this COVID-19 come around, but he has popped them pills. I just take it now because I know I have a very low resistance when it comes to, I have a low immune system. But I'm trying to build it up right now, because this thing is real. We gotta be real. It's real, and we gotta protect ourselves. And the Bible tells us, be careful for nothing. You gotta be careful. We got to be careful.
Yeah.
So even though some are saying that I'm not afraid of it, but yeah, the Bible still tells us to be careful. Now, if you do catch it, I believe God can heal you. We just gotta ask Him.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying, how is your faith now after contracting this virus?
Well, I really wouldn't say that it was affected a lot, because like I said, I didn't have a really bad experience. You know, it did cross my mind that I might die, because like how the media was making it seem like it wasn't, like there wasn't no trend of who was dying from who wasn't. So that really played in my mind. But I really do thank God that I survived, because sometimes like during that time my body wasn't acting the same. So you would kind of have like a little fear, because something different is going on. But
you know your body.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know your body.
but it's still, my body is the way it is because of God. So in anything, He
Yeah,
did bring
yeah,
me through.
yes,
So
yes.
I can't thank Him enough.
Okay. So how long were you in isolation for?
I would say a little over 14 days. I did the recommended 14 days, but before I got the results, I was already
In isolation.
trying to stay away from everyone. So
Okay.
I would say a little over 14 days.
Okay. Were there any medication prescribed to you to take during the COVID, or you just took natural stuff or what?
Yeah, well, before I got the results, I started to take like bush medicine.
Okay.
I did take Buckley's
Mhm.
once or twice, but that really wasn't doing anything for me, which was a surprise because Buckley's is
Yeah.
a really good medicine. But I started drinking some bush medicine and I started to feel better. But one thing I would say I didn't like about my experience when I went to the doctor and the doctor asked me like what I was doing, what I was taking for it, and I told him what I was doing. He basically told me that the bush medicine really wasn't making me feel better, which I found was odd. Like how you could tell me what's making me feel better if that was the only thing I was doing. But I found it odd because either you telling me my body just naturally fighting it off, or something had to help it. So yeah, So I just sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I get you.
Yeah.
What? Okay. Who then gave you the okay for the time for your isolation time period to be over? Did you
Yeah.
get from the COVID persons, or did they call, or how did that go?
Yeah, so the Ministry of Health, they kept in contact with me the whole time I was in the 14-day quarantine. And at the end of the quarantine, they would call you and they would give you a letter saying that you have completed your quarantine, and they would email you that so you could give it to your work if you have to go into work. And they say you could take another test to make sure that you don't have it anymore, but they really didn't make it like a mandatory thing for you to do.
Did you take it? Another test?
No, I didn't take another test until I left the island because I had to go take an exam.
Okay.
So, and those tests, I don't like that going up my nose. So,
But I don't. Well, even with that too, how they talk about to me wasn't bad, Like how, like we say back to the media, it scares you, and they say they jigging up your nose. No, for me, it just tickled. It just tickled.
well, for me, it wasn't bad, but it made my eyes water
okay,
because
uncomfortable.
it was really uncomfortable, but it wasn't as bad as they made it seem, like you
Yeah.
said.
All right.
But if I don't have to feel uncomfortable, I won't do it. I had to travel, so that's why I took the
I get
exam.
you.
Yeah.
So how you felt the moment your 14 days or your quarantine time was over? And that was a sigh of relief.
I wouldn't say it was a sigh of relief because after my quarantine period, it's like I was still locked down because the country still was locked down partially, and I still had to work. I was working from home, so I still couldn't leave the house as I would like. So I just was glad I didn't have to wear my mask in the house anymore because it's hard to breathe.
Through that, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What can you say to those who are actually going through COVID-19 right now or recovering from it? What advice can you give them, or what encouragement you can give them?
The only thing I would say is to build up your immune system because it's a virus. You really can't get around catching it. So the only thing you could do is put your body in a position where it will fight it off.
Okay.
So I just would encourage people to drink bitters, take vitamins, and exercise, and drink a lot of water
Okay.
because
keep it.
keep you hydrated.
Okay. How did your family react to you being sick?
Okay, so I think they reacted quite well. I didn't expect them to react the way they did. Everybody was like, okay, um, we thought from I said I wasn't feeling well. It probably came across their mind that I got it. So um, they wasn't scared. My father was off the island at the time, and my mother and my sister, they were in the house with me. What was really surprising to me, and which I really loved, my mother was very attentive to me. She brought me breakfast. She would cook breakfast for me. She would send my sister to ask me if I would like lunch. She would send my sister with dinner at the end of the day. So I really feel like they, like you said earlier, they really was a good support.
Yeah.
My father, I felt like he would have felt really, like he would have been panicking, but he even took it well. So the only thing I think he didn't like is that he was off the island. But my family members said that they glad he wasn't there because he probably would have catch it because he wouldn't have left me alone. So, like I mean, I just thank God it turned out the way it did. Because my mom could have caught it and it mightn't have been the same way for her. So I'm glad God was in the midst and he blocked it from them.
Because I know many people say once you're in the house, it's automatic that you catch it, but we can see no. So how, when it was tending to you, how did they suit up? Did they wear any special gears or masks or gloves or what?
Yeah, they only wore, I think they wore masks. 'Cause I never really saw them much. So, but I know my mom for sure. When she would come around me, she would wear her mask. But any other special gear, no. They would just spray down everything.
So when it was time to give you your meal, how would they give it to you? They would place it somewhere and you get it, or they would bring it to your room?
They would bring it to my room and place it on the floor to my door. And they would shout and say, well, the food to the door. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, we thank God that you went through it and God brought you out. God brought you out. And we know God is a healer. So even the state that we're in right now in this nation where we're panicking and we're scared, but it's normal because we're human. We're flesh. It's normal. But we know who God is. And we know that He's a healer and that He's a keeper. He really is. Is there any other final words you'd like to say to our audience?
Yeah, I mean, another thing, in going through that experience, I just, how the world is reacting to the virus still, I really feel like they're still in a panic mode. And I don't think it's very smart because a lot of people, when they catch the virus, they expect it to be like so much worse than it really is. And I think that contributes to a lot of how they're feeling also because, like I said, I had one bad night. Yeah, so I feel like the media itself and how the world is reacting to the virus still is like we're still in a panic mode. We're still worrying about people contracting the virus as opposed to looking at the numbers of the deaths or like the recovery rates and stuff. And it's dictating a lot of what is going on in our country. It's like even with I think the other day Andres was put on a lockdown again. I just feel like it doesn't make sense because they're not really educating people about the virus to say, well, keep your immune system up and like take precautions. It's like they just it's like they're trying to prevent something that I don't think you could prevent. It's a virus, you know?
Yeah.
So, I really don't like how we're still in a panic mode. And I really feel like more people who had the virus, I think they should speak out more and try to, actually try to help
Educate
governments, like try to mold policies around it. Like I don't feel like we should still be in emergency order mode anymore, to be honest, you know.
Well, Ms. Brown, I heard you were talking about the lockdowns and the lockdown and everything, and I must say that if you really look at it, whenever we ease some restrictions when it comes to the lockdown, and we ease up some of the orders, and everybody start getting free. There's be a spike in it, and people start doing their own thing, and then we have an increase on COVID. So whereas I hear what you're saying, but then we also need to be careful. We really got to be careful where in some cases, hey, let's do this so this won't happen. So I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm also believe that I'm not against the lockdown or whatever. Well, with that, what I just said in mind, how do you feel now about it? How do you feel about it?
Well, I never felt like the lockdowns didn't make sense. I know they are there for a purpose, but I also feel that at this point, it's over a year now since COVID has showed up in the Bahamas. So I feel like there should be other things put in place, whereas other than lockdowns, I should say, because like I said, I'm not against the lockdowns, but the lockdown, I think, is a temporary fix. It's not really a solution, you know, because even if you say lockdown and then you see the slow in numbers, after you see the slow in numbers, you release the public again, you're going to get that spike again, because like many people are saying, and like I've seen, plenty of people really don't. They do wear their mask, but they don't wear it correctly. And then a lot of people probably still don't sanitize as much. Yeah, when you go into different establishments, you are required to sanitize. But some people, it's, I guess because they feel as if this been going on for so long, and some of them probably didn't catch the virus. Some of them still feel like it's like a phantom virus, whereas some people just want to be out. They don't care whether they catch it or not. So it makes it bad for everyone else because it spikes the numbers.
But then with that, we need to be very careful, because just because it ain't hit our doorstep doesn't mean it's not real. So we really, and even us as a people, need to help the government enforce these laws by saying, hey, if the government says stay home, please stay home. And if he says let's sanitize, let's wear a mask, because we're helping one another survive this. Because hey, no one have ever went through this. This is the first time we hear about this COVID-19, so we got to be very careful in how we approach it until we see it really go. So we got to be very careful. So right now, the best thing we all could do as a country is help one another by adhering to the orders, the laws, and move on. That's the best thing we could do.
I agree.
Well, that's our show for the night. Thank you for joining in. We thank you, Ms. Brown, for being our guest on tonight. We do appreciate having you here.
Thank you for having me.
If you have just tuned in or know someone who's missed the show or like to rewatch again, you can catch us on Facebook at The Voice of Pilgrim, Nassau, Bahamas, or on YouTube at The Voice of Pilgrim Baptist Temple. You can also contact us and email us at thevoiceofpilgrim@gmail.com. Tune again next week, same channel. God bless and be encouraged.
Thank you for listening to the program The Voice of Pilgrim, which was brought to you by Telecom Bahamas Limited, 376-8999. They install and maintain telecommunication towers from Bimini and Grand Bahama in the north to Inago in the south to ensure clear, continuous cellular service throughout the Bahamas. Easy Trucking at 357-4394. They specialize in flatbed and container deliveries and 20 to 40-foot chassis rentals. They make trucking easy with over 24 years of experience in the heavy hauling business. The Craft Shack, Wolf Road, opposite the Windsor Park, 829-7412, specializing in junk canoe and carnival supplies, balloons and party supplies, hats, fascinators, and jewelry making items. They supply the items, tools, and decorations for all your craft needs. ATC Financial Advisors and Consultants, with over 19 years experience in accounting and auditing, they offer reliable and professional service in internal audit, enterprise risk management, corporate governance, financial planning, and accounting. For more information, call them at 376-0411 or visit their website at www.atcadvisors.com. And also, the fine members of the Pilgrim Baptist Temple, tune in next week, same time, same station, where we will be happy to bring you another interesting broadcast of The Voice of Pilgrim. God bless you and have a wonderful evening.